All right, perfect. Thank you so much for the confirmations. Awesome. Great. Perfect. So let's start with today's session. Welcome to my first YouTube live session. Myself, Surjeet Kakkar, and today is Sunday, 19th of November, 2017. One thing which I'll add here is that I can see that many of you are watching this stream, but your stream is not set to 720p. So you can click on the settings icon on your YouTube stream, and you can set the resolution to 720p. That way, when I share the charts, it will be much more clear for you on your screens. If you are using a lower resolution, the charts will not be very clear, right? So I would definitely request you to have those charts much more clearly visible. Make sure that your settings for the stream is set to 720p. Great. So let's start with the broad market, right? So that is what we'll be doing today. Now, the first thing which I'll add here is that I actually wanted to pick some topic so that, we as traders, can get some more information about what trading is all about. But the problem was this was the very first YouTube live which I was doing. So there was no way I could get the feedback from you. That's why today's session I selected as a market overview. Now, the challenge with market overview would be that maybe many of you don't know how to do the market analysis using demand and supply methodology. And if you don't know how to do it, this would be a very small session, so I can't even teach you this. We definitely teach how to trade the markets using demand and supply in our premium courses, right? But like I said, because many of you might not know how to do the analysis using demand and supply, you might feel a little blank, right? But uh, there is, that is one challenge which I have. But make sure that during this session, or once you're done with once we are done with the YouTube live, or even if you're watching the recordings later, in the comment box, start putting in the topics you would like to get covered. So what I'll do is whenever I do the next session, I'll pick some topic from the comments which I'll be getting. Right. So make sure you start doing that. And I'll try to do these sessions very regularly. I'll try to do it every Sunday. And every Sunday, I'll take one topic from the list which I'll be getting, and we'll be discussing that. At times, we might again get into the market analysis. So today, let's do the overall market analysis. And in this analysis, we will be looking at some of the broad markets. Specifically, we'll be looking at Nifty, Bank Nifty, USD INR. We'll be looking at in the international market, we'll be looking at S&P 500. We'll be looking at crude oil, and we'll be looking at gold, right? Can you teach how to mark demand and supply area zones? Definitely, Sumit, we teach how to use demand and supply zones, but just marking demand and supply zones is not sufficient when it comes to doing the analysis, which is demand and supply analysis. There are many more factors which you need to know, right? So that is the reason I'll say that if you want to get into it, yes, try to understand it the correct way, which is where our premium courses can help you. But yes, today when we do the analysis, you will be seeing I'll be marking some demand areas and supply areas. But why we are using them as demand, why we are using them as supply, what is the logic behind it? So all those things are covered in our premium courses, right? So what I will be doing is doing the broad market understanding in a way. We'll be looking at the bigger picture. We'll not be looking at what we can expect in 1 or 2 days. We will be looking at what can happen in the next few weeks, right? So we'll be looking at the broader perspective, what those markets are doing, and what we should be doing when it comes to those markets. So the very first one we will be starting is with Nifty. Now, again, when it comes to doing the analysis, you can see I'm using a platform which is called as Trading View. So this platform, we have created some indicators. So there is also a video on our YouTube channel where you can see how to apply all these indicators which we have created for you, which will help you with your demand and supply analysis if you know how to do demand and supply. Now, starting with the very first one, which is Nifty. So the first thing you see is that Nifty is making all-time highs, right? So Nifty has been moving up very strongly, making all-time highs. So whenever a script or any instrument is making all-time highs, we will be able to identify demand areas on it, but we will not be able to identify supply. Reason being, it's making all-time highs. We don't have historic data, and because of which we can't identify supply areas of supply, right? So what do we do in such scripts is, when a script is making all-time highs, we are always looking for just buying opportunities on those scripts. So we wait for some corrections to happen, and as soon as we see those corrections happening, we try to buy that script. Now, when it comes to the Nifty, you can see your nearest demand area on Nifty as of now is this area, right? So that is where you have your picture of rally-based rally, which is a demand zone. So just some time back, Nifty just came to that zone. Can you see, just touched and again started moving up, right? Now the zone has just been touched, moving up. So what I'll say is, if we have something quality on our lower time frames, we can still look into this area, wait for some corrections to happen. And when those corrections happen, those can be our buying opportunities. Now I'll straight away go to the lower time frame, and just to see where do we have some nice buying opportunities on this script. So already moved up. So, and as of now, you can see on the daily chart, we are also hitting some supply and already getting a reaction from this. So, which is good for us, because if we are getting a reaction from a supply area, maybe prices can start pushing a little bit lower, again, come back to this area of demand, which we have on the monthly, which is where we can look for some buying opportunities. So ideally, we would be looking for buying, but we need some corrections to happen. Now, when it comes to some demand areas on this script, I would say with a longer term perspective, this is where we have something which looks like quality. Other than in between, we don't have any zones which look like quality, which means Nifty is trading at around 10,283. But when it comes to going long, where we are trying to hold that position for a longer period of time, we should be waiting for some deep corrections to happen, which is at around 9,780 levels, right? So at those levels, yes, we can think about buying. Now, again, when I started with that we are looking at the broader perspective, the bigger pictures. We are not looking at trades where we want to get into intraday trades. So for intraday trades, yes, we might have some trading opportunities which are very, very close by. Similarly, for swing trades, we might have some trading opportunities which might be much closer than what we are looking at on the chart as of now, right? So I'm talking about basically the kind of opportunities where you would like to be in that trade for maybe few months, right? So which is a little longer perspective, and that is what we are looking at. So that is what we should be doing on Nifty. That yes, if you want to be a buyer who wants to hold for a longer period of duration, we need some deeper corrections to happen. Nothing in between looks like quality. In fact, like I said, we just hit the supply. So the probability of it moving lower is definitely there, but not what I'll say is, I mean, the probability is definitely there, but we don't have any weekly and monthly support from those supply areas, right? So it's almost like we're just hoping that we get that move to the downside so that we can be a buyer on it. Why don't you consider taking both blue candle bottom? You just mark the all right, so you mean, why didn't I take it something like this? All right, so let me draw it. So I believe your question would be, why didn't I draw it something like this, and why did I draw it like this? So like I said, all these things, how to draw, how to fine tune your zones, we cover all those things in our premium courses. That is where you will be learning. Yes, I completely agree with you that if you have learned demand and supply, going with the rules, this is how the zone should have been drawn, but I've just modified a little bit. So you'll be learning all those things, not to worry. Right. So that is what I'll say. As far as, a longer term perspective is considered in Nifty, we would still be like to be a buyer on it. But for that, we need some deep corrections to happen. And because we want those deeper corrections to happen, this would be a good area where we can start looking for some buying opportunities on Nifty with a longer term perspective. Now, the next one is Bank Nifty. Let's look at Bank Nifty, what Bank Nifty is doing. Now, again, if I start with the monthly chart, because I'm looking for a longer term perspective, the same scenario, Bank Nifty making all-time highs. So again, a script making all-time highs. The only thing we should be doing is we should be waiting for some corrections to happen. so that we can be a buyer on that script. So on this script, what I'll say is we are almost at 25,728 levels. A longer term perspective where you would like to get into a trade for a longer enough period of time, we should be waiting for some corrections to happen to about 24,400 levels, right? Which is not very far off, right? Now, just give me 1 second. Present opportunity is only shorting against a major trend. See now, like you said, is the present opportunity only shorting against a major trend? Now, as a trader who wants to maybe do a intraday trade, right? Because we are closer to a supply level for an intraday trades. Yes, maybe we can definitely plan shorts because we are not planning to hold that position for a very long period of time. So this is something you have to understand, that based on your objective, are you trying to do an intraday trade? Are you trying to do a swing trade? Or are you trying to do a long-term investment, right? The same script can show you different opportunities. As an intraday trader, you might see a shorting opportunity because maybe for just 1 day prices they go down, I can do that intraday trade, I get my profits, I'm out of that trade. But at the same given point of time, if a swing trader is looking at that script, he might be interested in a long position, right? Similarly, if a monthly income trader is looking at, by monthly income trader, I mean a trader who wants to hold that position for a much longer duration of time, if he's also looking at the same script, maybe the script is showing him a long opportunity, right? So the same script based on your objective, whether you are trying to enter that script as intraday or swing or a longer term position, opportunities can be different, right? But how do we find those opportunities? That is where we learn what is the correct way to do it. So even if the overall trend is up, but if you have that short-term opportunity where you can go short, because we want those corrections to happen. Now, if I just again go back to Nifty for a minute. Now, can you see, even though that long-term trend is definitely really nice and very, very strong, but if I go to do the daily chart, can you see we had those period of corrections where prices they came down, prices they came down, prices they came down, right? So these were the periods where when maybe if you were planning a swing trade, you know, you could have participated with this swing, you could have participated with this swing, right? Even if the prices are moving up, can you see we had days where prices they also gave started moving down maybe for a day or two. That is where you could have also identified intraday trading opportunities, maybe to go short. So just because the overall bigger picture trend is up does not mean that as an intraday trader also I'll also be always focusing on a long trade, because on the shorter time frame, smaller time frame, I will be getting those corrections, which is where I might get my opportunity to be a seller. Now, as an example, right, like we just discussed that on Nifty, we would like to be a buyer at this price. Now, we can only be a buyer at this price provided Nifty starts doing something like this. Just give me a second. All right, I'll show you. So I can only be a buyer at this level only if Nifty starts doing something like this. It starts coming down, right? And if Nifty starts coming down, maybe as a swing trader, I might have an opportunity to even plan with that short, which is where maybe I can book my profits. And now I can participate, hoping that from this demand, Nifty might start moving up and I can also participate on the long side, right? So that is where you can have both kind of opportunities. It's just that based on your objective, for what objective you are planning your trade, the trade setup can be different, right? It can be long, it can be short. Now, moving on to the next one, which is Bank Nifty. Right, so let's bring up Bank Nifty. So like we were seeing that on Bank Nifty, again, we'll have to wait for prices to come back to some demand areas, because that is where we would like to buy it. So the nearest demand area which we have on Bank Nifty as of now with the longer term perspective is around 24,000. What are the numbers? Let's get the exact numbers. I'll click on this. 24,389, right? Starting at around 24,389. Now, if I want to be a buyer, let's see, do we have something really nice? Yes, we do have this area, which is prices came down. We had a brief period of pause and then prices, they gapped up. So if you see in a way, the area where we have this demand, this will also get in sync with the Nifty demand. So if the prices, they come here, maybe at that given point of time, both your Nifty and Bank Nifty are simultaneously in that demand zone, which can be a good area with a longer term perspective when it comes to, participating in Nifty and Bank Nifty, right? So even if you're planning to, take some trades, let's say in the banking sector, and you have some demand areas and you like to use correlations. So this could also be an area where if the prices they start coming into, you can see which banking stocks are in your demand zones for longer term perspective trades. And because you will also be having that correlations, yes, if you like using correlations, you can also do that for your banking stocks as well. But success chances will be lower for shorting. No, I will not say that the success chances will be lower for shorting. See, like I said, at the end of the day, it is your objective, right? So if my objective is an intraday trade, and now that intraday trade matches with my trade plan, so we will be having some trade plan where we'll be having a lot of rules, and we will be applying those rules to that short setup. Now, if that short setup qualifies, right, then the success chances is as good as for the long trade, right? So that does not mean just because we are going against the longer term or the bigger picture, the success starts getting a little lesser. And the reason for that is that even if we are planning it, we are making sure before we take that shot that it matches with our trade plan and everything is in sync for us to take that trade. Right, so that will be Bank Nifty, right? So as of now, we definitely need some deep corrections to happen for both Nifty and Bank Nifty before we are in levels where we can think about, a position which can be kept for a very long duration of time, maybe for a few months, right? But for swings, and like I said, intraday, you might be having something close by, but today we'll be looking at the bigger picture itself. Not a problem if you are 17 minutes late, because later this will also be available as a recording, right? So you can always watch that recording, no issues with it. So let's start with the next one, which is USD INR, right? So if you look at USD INR, we are getting closer to this area of demand, but not very, very nice, ugly looking. In fact, if you look at this to the left, seems like this was a reaction of this demand area, which also makes it as something which we call as a non-authentic demand zone. So ideally, I would say it would be better to lean against this, because this is a reaction of the one to the left. So now this one has been tested quite a few times. You can see once, twice, thrice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 4, 5 tests. So now what can happen is when the prices, they start coming down, this can easily get violated, because we know that the more time we are spending here, that demand will be getting absorbed and prices can easily go down. Right. So what I'll say is that, yes, if you still want to participate in this area of demand, if the prices they come down and you want to go long, acceptable, but it will be better to do it as a type 2 or a type 3 trade. Reason being, it has been tested quite a few times. But yes, we do have some fresh area of supply, which is right here, and prices have never come back to that supply as of now. So if the prices they move up, we can look for some shorting opportunities on USD INR. But the area where the prices are as of now, we are in between, right? And as of now, getting the reaction from a demand area. So in case it starts moving up, we have a shorting opportunity available. In case it starts going down, we will also be having a long opportunity available. But longs, like I said, this area has been tested quite a few times. So the probability of this holding is not really, really high. So doing a type 2, type 3 trade would be a better way to go about. Let's see, do we have something on the daily chart which is looking like a quality area to participate? Right, we do have a small little zone here. Let's zoom into that location. Right, so as of now, seems like, I'll just draw this and check whether this has been violated or still holding. And the next one which we have is right here. Right, so the one which is below would be a good area if you want to go long. Also looks nice and fresh. So let's check by going back. In fact, both the levels have been, the upper level has been violated. The lower level has already worked out, right? So that is what I told you. I was more keen on the one below. So the upper one has already been violated. The lower one has been tested. So even if the prices they come back, we don't have anything quality to lean against. So this can still be used, provided you do it in a very safe way. And when it comes to looking for shorting opportunities, yes, we don't have anything which looks really nice in quality, right? We do have some areas which probably can be done as type 2, type 3 trades, which means more like confirmation entries. So what I'll say is, if just to make it easy for you, this could be the area where you can look for some shorting opportunities if USD INR starts moving up, right? So this is around starting at around 66.57 and 66.41. So this can be an area where some shorting opportunities can be looked at. This area, which we saw on the daily chart, we've already got a really nice reaction from it. Now, if price is coming back, probability will be less. What is type 2, type 3 trades? Those are more like confirmation trades. As an example, if I'm looking at this supply now based upon whatever technical analysis knowledge you have. As an example, let's say if you know candlestick patterns, right? So what you can do is, because I want to go short in this supply, you will be waiting for some bearish candlestick pattern to form. As an example, it can be a shooting star, right? It can be a bearish engulfing. It can be a bearish harami, right? So if you see those kind of patterns happening here, so that will be your signal that yes, because I can see those patterns happening, I can see some bearishness coming into the market. Now let me take that trade, right? So that is what broadly we mean by type 2, type 3s. But yes, what is the exact thing we do? Like I said, we cover that in our premium courses, right? But I've just given you a clue that if you have no idea what type 2, type 3 is, you can still do it based on conventional technical analysis. And I just give you a few examples of it. You can use some candlestick patterns. That would be the best way to go about, right? So wait for bearish candles to form in your supply areas, and wait for some bullish patterns to form in your demand areas, which will be more like a signal for you to go ahead and participate in those trades. Let's look at the next one, which is SPX, which is the US index, right? Again, the same picture, because when it comes to all the major indexes, you will see we will be having exactly the same picture, making all-time highs. So here again, we'll have to wait for some corrections to happen with a longer term perspective if you want to participate. And this could be the area of demand. So we are at 25.78. So we'll have to wait for some deep corrections, 24.77, which is where we can start looking for some long opportunities. And if we are looking for some long opportunities in this area, yes, we do have some levels here, right? But I would be more keen on the one below, right? So if you want to go, in fact, can you see it has already been tested, already reacted. Prices came here, just touched and started moving up, worked very, very beautifully. So will no longer be a fresh zone for us. We ideally want fresh areas. We also have a level which is right here. So this can also be a area to participate. But I'm not very keen on this, because if you look at this, in our premium courses, we teach you gaps, which we call as pro gaps and novice gaps. So this one will qualify more like a gap. It will not be a picture of a pro gap, not even a picture of a novice gap. It's just a gap for us. So when it's just a gap, it's not an opportunity where we like to participate. This one was good enough. This would have acted like a pro gap, and that is the reason I picked this. And prices, they just touched and started moving up. So I'll still be more interested in using the one below. And we can do the same thing. We can wait for prices to come back, which is where if we get some bullish signals on the chart, we can be a buyer with a perspective of holding it for a longer duration of time. So that's your S&P. The next one is crude oil. Let's look at crude oil. And if I go to the monthly, you can see that crude oil as of now is very close to a supply area, and prices are coming to the supply for the very first time. So even though it has been moving up for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 4, 5 months, yes, a lot of people will be maybe interested in looking for long opportunities. But we are closer to supply, and closer to supply, we should not be looking for long opportunities. We should be looking for shorting opportunities. So crude oil, yes, we are getting, in fact, we are at a very good location to start looking for shorting opportunities on this. So let's see, what do we have on crude oil? right? In fact, if you look at the daily chart, we just hit a daily supply as well. Though the number of candles is too many, that is something we don't like in our demand and supply areas, right? So let's see what do we have. If I just go into this area and zoom in, right? So if we start zooming in here, right, so this would be a good area to participate, right? So we are almost at 56.68, right? So we can wait for it to go a little higher, which is where we do have some shorting opportunities on crude oil, which is from 58.27 to 60.46, right? So this would be a good area for looking shorts on crude oil. So even though if you look at the last almost 1 to 3 months, it's been a bullish phase, but yes, at this point of time, we are closer to supply. Going long would almost be making a novice mistake, and that novice mistake is now you will be buying something at an expensive price, and also buying in an area where the chart is telling you that prices can start going down, right? So when it comes to crude oil, shorting is something you should be more focused on as of now versus going long, right? So that's your crude oil showing us that yes, we can now think about going short. So the longs would have already worked out. But yes, if you have some long positions, now is the time to start trailing it really, really aggressively and start locking in your profits, maybe booking your partial profits. And that is what you should be doing on crude oil. And the last one is GC, which is your gold, right? So when I'm looking at crude oil, I'm looking at gold. This is not the MCX market, right? That's basically the international market, because on this platform which I'm using, they don't give you the feeds for MCX as of now. So that's the reason I'm looking at the international markets. And you know that if you have been trading commodities, they almost work hand in hand. Whatever happens internationally will happen in COMEX as well, right? I mean, whatever happens internationally will happen in MCX as well, right? So my bad. Now, if you look at this, we are again hitting some supply area, which is right here on gold, and we started getting a reaction, but we also have this ugly looking demand at the bottom as well, right? So can you see it's a rally base, rally kind of a picture, but not very strong. So ideally, what I'll say, it's more like a wait and watch kind of a picture, that out of these two areas, because they are very, very close by, right? We have just demand below, we just have supply above. So what can happen is that gold might remain range bound for quite some time. And over a period of time, either this supply will give up or this demand will give up, which is where the room will open, right? When this platform provides, I have no idea, but yes, sometime back, one of our student messaged them to ask the same thing, and the reply which he got was that yes, they are working on it, and very, very soon they will be starting with the feeds for MCX as well, but they didn't give any commitment for the date. But they definitely said that yes, we keep adding more and more exchanges on our platform, and MCX is on the list. They will be adding MCX, but when that happens, no idea. Great. So now again, coming back, we can remain range bound for quite some time. That is what the chart is showing us. And once the supply or demand gets violated, that is where we can expect some moves to the upside or to the downsides only after the violation. But as of now, it will be more like if it goes higher in the range, you can look for shorting opportunities, goes lower in the range, you can look for long opportunities. That is what you can do. But yes, expecting it to be range bound. Now, if you start looking for where can be those long opportunities and short opportunities, right? So nothing, which looks like really, really great. But yes, if you want to look for some long opportunities, and we want prices to give us some, corrections to happen so that I can go long, I would say, ideally should be waiting for these lower levels for the prices to come back, and that is where you can look for your longs. And similarly for your shorts, let's go a little deeper into it, and then we can look for those shorts as well. So how do you configure these candles? It's really easy. What you do is, on our YouTube channel, we already have a video. Just go through that video. It will tell you what these configurations are and how to do them. So everything is provided in that video. And in case you are having a difficulty to identify that video, I'll tell you the easiest way to do it. You can go to our website, which is surjeetkakkar.com. And once you go to our website, under this tab, just give me a second, which says free tools, right? We have trading analysis. And in this trading analysis, you can see we have this video. So you can watch this video. This video will help you understand how those tools can be applied. Here you also have the link which will take you to those charts. So that is what you can use. Now coming back, so that is what you can look into gold as a longer term perspective, which is where you are trying to get into a position and hold it maybe for a few months. Watch, but black candle stands watched. Okay, what the black candle they stand for. So now what happens is, I'll just brief you very, very quickly through it. When we start looking for demand areas and supply areas, we want to look for areas where, we have a lot of strength. So these black candles basically help us identify that these are the candles which are showing us strength, which is much more than the average candle size. Can you see the size of this candle compared to the average candle size, the size of this candle compared to the average candle size? So these black candles basically show us that these are the moves which are much stronger than the average candle size. And that is what we use in conjunction with a lot of things to identify where our levels of demand and supplies can be, right? So that is what those black candles are all about. Great. So yes, that was the broader, overview of some of these markets, right? From Nifty to Bank Nifty to USD INR, your crude oil, your gold, right? And like I said, I understand that many of you might not know how to do the demand and supply analysis, which is where you might be a little lost, right? But like I said, this was the very first YouTube live, so I had no way to take feedback from you people. But now make sure that, in the chat box or in the comment section, just put in the topics you would like to, get covered in these live sessions. I will be taking these live sessions very, very regularly. In fact, I'm planning to do it every Sunday. So make sure whatever questions you have regarding trading, your queries, again, if some topics you want, right? So just put it in the comment box. Every Sunday, I'll be randomly picking some topics from the list, which I'll be getting from you people. And that will make it, a little more educative as well, right? So that is what we will be doing. How to apply stop loss after the order is executed. So Prakash, it's very easy. All you need to do is I already have a video which is for placing orders. Just watch that video, which is where, I have given it both ways if you're doing it manually. So because you said your order is already executed, now you want to place a stop loss order, so you'll have to place it manually. So you can watch that video. That video will help you understand how to do it. Let me just quickly tell you and point you to that video. So you can go to youtube.com/Surjeet Kakkar, right? And here you can search for the video, which is placing orders. Just give me a second. I'll show you that. So I'll go to search, placing orders. Right. So once you go to placing orders, can you see you have this video, which is available both in English as well as in Hindi, how to place your entry, stop loss and targets, and also for bracket orders. So whichever language you're comfortable with, you can watch the Hindi video if you wish to, which is right here. You can watch the English video if you wish to, which is right here. Right. So you can watch that video. That will help you understand. Plus, we also have another video. So now this is something which I posted long time back, which was a year ago, where I didn't cover bracket orders, but in these two videos, bracket orders are also covered. So you can look at it. Sujit sir, we are curious to watch your POS plus Excel sheet. You mean the Excel sheet which I use in the POS plus session? So what I believe is probably you're referring to, if I go to the videos, the one which is always masked, right? So we have it blurred, right? So that's the one you're talking about. Let's go, right. Can you see the one here on the left which has been blurred? I think you're talking about that. So now the fact is, if you don't know how to do the analysis and how to apply whatever we teach in our premium courses, this sheet has no meaning. Now, this sheet is available to all our POS subscribers because they know POS Plus subscribers because they know what this sheet is all about. In fact, we even have a better version of it. And that better version I don't use in these sessions. That is, again, a sheet where a lot of intelligence have also been built into that sheet. So that helps the students how to, plan the trades very, very mechanically, right? So we have a lot of stuff, but yes, like I said, some of the stuff is exclusive for POS Plus members only, and they only have the access to it because they know how to use those tools. Please, I want to learn reading nsaindia.com statistics. Right, Sunil, I'm not able to get exactly what you mean by that. So what you do is maybe in the comments, you can elaborate more on it. Maybe in the next session, I'll take that topic. Do you have a watch list of stocks prepared for the next week? Yes, we do have a watch list. In fact, recently, just give me 1 second. What I also did was, I guess I just posted that video yesterday. Right? Let me just show you that. So I know that is a very big challenge that when it comes to identifying trades, which stocks to select. So just yesterday, I posted a video where you will be able to see that now under free tools, we have stock scanners for hourly incomes, daily incomes, weekly incomes, monthly incomes. So let's say I want to take a long position as a daily income trader. I can click on daily income long. A new page will open and it will show me the list of stocks, which can be contenders to go long into, right? So can you see it is showing me a list of 4 stocks. So these tools we have drawn. So that is, these tools we have created for you. These are the conditions which we have put in. But what are those conditions all about? All these stuff we cover in our POS Plus course, right? But yes, you do have a tool where now if you want to see which stocks I should be looking at, now these are the stocks. Just because you got this list, again, I'll add, it does not mean you can blindly go long in them. So these will be the stocks where we will be doing our demand and supply analysis. And if that analysis qualifies as an opportunity for us to participate, then we participate in those stocks, right? So that is how we do it. Right. So, right. So perfect. Just for watching, I'm really curious. Perfect. Great. So I guess that will be the end of today's session. So again, I'll request all of you that in the comment box, you should definitely put in the topics you would like to cover. And like I said, I'll try to make it every weekend now. So every weekend, every Sunday, we'll be doing that. So also, share it with your friends and your family. If they trade, this can also be helpful to them. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in. I really appreciate that. I'll see you next time. Until then, trade safe and enjoy your weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.